Hello, Coach Dover, seventh grade civics class. Hope I find you all doing well, staying healthy. I miss being with you guys in class, but it is what it is. We're making it work, and I hope you all are doing well. You might have noticed the work I sent home. It was work you were familiar with. It's about the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. We talked about the debate between the Federalists and Anti-Federalists. When it came to ratifying the Constitution, Federalists thought the Constitution was okay the way it was written. Anti-Federalists wanted more individual and states' rights built into the Constitution, more specific rights. So this was the compromise we came up with. We came up with the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments of the Constitution. I'm going to upload this video to Google Classroom. Also going to try to get it on the school's Facebook page. So make sure you spread the word that this video is available to your classmates. The next round of work, I'm going to do a video again, and it'll be the same thing, Google Classroom and on the school's Facebook page. So hopefully this will help you out completing this work. So let's get started. First Amendment to the Constitution is the freedom of speech and press and religion. Also your right to assembly. This means that you can say what you want to about the government without worrying about some guy coming knocking on your door and arresting you or throwing you in jail for being critical of the government. Same thing goes for the press. The press can be critical of the government. You have a right to practice what religion you want. Let's go back to freedom of speech. Remember, freedom of speech doesn't cover all speech, though. It doesn't cover hate speech. Your rights can't trample on others' rights. So it does not cover hate speech. You have to be careful there. Right to assembly. You have the right to gather and protest if you don't like something the government's doing. Right now, one of the things going on in the news is some people protesting wanting the government to open the economy back up. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more later with the 10th Amendment. Second Amendment, one that's highly debated right now. I'll move me around a little bit here. Also, feel free to pause this at any time, to write down some stuff, to look at your worksheet. Pause it. That's why I'm making it so you can pause it and work at your own pace and speed. But Second Amendment's right to bear arms. This means citizens have the right to own weapons. Now, for a long time, this was debated to just mean that the only military can own the weapons because specifically the Constitution talks about the militia. The Supreme Court, several years ago, said that no, the Second Amendment does mean that citizens have the right to bear arms. Now, there's a lot of debate about that. Who actually can have a right? Who can? Can criminals own weapons? What type of weapon can you own? Things like that. We've talked about that in class some. I'm not going to get into that for the sake of the video, the length here. But Second Amendment is your right to bear arms. Third Amendment prevents the government from forcing citizens to quarter soldiers. Basically, this means that if the military is to be activated inside the United States, they can't force you to house and feed the soldiers. We've never had to worry about this in the United States. This is basically comes from when we just fought the Revolutionary War. Our founding fathers, the colonial Americans, were forced to house British soldiers and take care of them. So since this was fresh when the Constitution was being made, founding fathers put this in. So hopefully we will never have to worry about this in the United States. Fourth Amendment prevents unreasonable search and seizure of private property. This means that the police or any type of law enforcement cannot come into your house or into your automobile without a warrant. Now, with that said, they can come in if they think a crime is being committed right then and there. That's what they call reasonable cause. You see this more actually out on the highway if you're getting traffic stopped and police think there's a crime being committed. Say, you're a DUI, you're under the influence, been drinking alcohol or something else, impairing your judgment. The police then have what they call reasonable cause, and they can do a search then. But without that reasonable cause, they cannot just come in and start searching your house or your vehicle. That also sometimes highly debated at time what reasonable cause is. The Fifth Amendment gives you due process of the law and prevention of double jeopardy. This means you can't be tried twice for the same crime. Now, this pertains to criminal, okay? So if you commit a criminal offense, you robbed a store, you killed somebody. This is a criminal case, and if you're found innocent the first time, they cannot come back and say, well, we're going to try you again until we get This keeps the government or whoever's trying to prosecute you for a criminal crime, this keeps them from trying to keep on trying you until they get a guilty verdict. So once you're found innocent in a criminal case, that's it. Now you can be sued by anybody that might have been hurt during the criminal case in a civil trial, but they cannot try you criminally a second time. This is also your right to own property and not have that property taken from you for public use without just compensation. This is what we also talked about called eminent domain. Sometimes you might own the property, but the government may need it to build a road or something like that. It could be an overpass, something for the public use, to go to the public. And the government has to prove this can be used for a public good and it's worth them taking this land from you. But they just can't take it. They have to give you just compensation, fair market price. Unfortunately, one of the things they don't consider with this is if you've owned this land, if your family's owned this land for 100 years or more, when it comes to that kind of thing, they don't consider that. It's fair market price. But you at least have to go through a process. They just can't take it from you. Sixth Amendment is your right to fair and speedy trial in a criminal case. This means, again, if you're accused of a crime, you have a right to a fair and speedy trial. Now, today, who considers what speedy? Because there are people who, with our court system being backed up like it is, speedy doesn't exactly happen a lot of times. Right now, with court shut down due to the virus, there's a lot of people probably waiting for a trial right now, so it's going to get even further behind. But again, we're all living in the same world right now. Right to have a lawyer is also in the Sixth Amendment. If you're accused of a crime, you have a right to have a lawyer. And you've probably heard the Miranda rights. If you watch some of these cop shows, if you can't afford a lawyer, one will be provided to you. But everybody has a right to a lawyer. And the Seventh Amendment is a right to trial by jury. Again, it's usually in criminal cases. You have a right to trial by jury. Some civil cases, but there has to be a certain monetary amount involved before you can have a jury trial. Those amounts vary. We won't get into that. But if you're accused of a criminal case, then you have a right to trial by jury. Eighth Amendment prevents excessive bail and fines. This means if you are arrested and you can get out on bail, or you've been fined for something, it can't be something above what you're able to pay. You may see sometimes, if you read like police reports or something like that, you have two people commit the same crime, but one's bail is different than the other, because those are actually, when a judge is issuing bail, he's going by how much he thinks you can pay, not how much you should, but how much you can pay based upon what your income is. Fines the same way, for different speeding tickets and traffic violations are different fines, but they can't be considered excessive. Also forbids cruel and unusual punishment. If you are arrested, put in jail, you can't be mistreated or treated like, anything below human. You can't, be forbidden to give showers and clean clothes and meals every day. So that prevents cruel and unusual punishment. The Ninth and 10th Amendment, you don't see these talked about, studied much, but they are important. Ninth Amendment, founding fathers said, look, we know that there's no way we can possibly put all rights in the Constitution. So basically, if this right's not in the Constitution, the people automatically retain those rights. I'm going to say that again. If a right is not in the Constitution, the people automatically have that right. Now, politicians can go back and change that and say, no, you don't have a right, because, times change, technology change, founding fathers couldn't have seen things like social media, the internet, and all that stuff. So new laws always have to be made with the changing times. But until a new law is made about something, as a citizen, you retain that right. The 10th Amendment says basically, if the federal government is not given this right or power in the Constitution, that power and rights automatically given to the states and the people. I mentioned earlier about the protests, about people wanting the economy to open back up. Well, if you watch the news, listen to the news, any recently, the president said he wants to start opening the economy back up, and that he would have to maybe even tell states to do it. There's a debate right now. Does the president have the power to tell the states to open up their economy, or is that a states-only issue? So right now, as we speak, the 10th Amendment is being something debated. So pay attention to that. Can the president order all the states to open their economies back up, start opening things back up, or is that an individual state right and the president has no power over that? That's been debated. You'll hear them debated both sides of the issue. Now, if I was in class, we would talk about it more and get into more detail. But I want you to research this, watch the news, and see what you think. That will do it from now. Again, I'm going to upload this to Google Classroom and also hopefully get it on the school Facebook page, spread the word that this is available. The work I'm going to send home next is going to be about the other amendments. You know, we've had more amendments passed since then. Some of them very important to our nation's history. Some of them really minor. So we're going to go over the more important ones. They're all important, but the ones that have more of an impact, let's say that. So, and I will do a video for that too. And this time I hope I'll get a video up quicker for you to help you out with that. But you have my email address. We also have our Google Classroom. So if you have any problems, need any help with anything, do not wait. Go ahead, send me an email. Ask in Google Classroom. We can have discussions if you have internet access. I know some of you don't. So just try to help each other out for the ones that don't. All right, that's it. Until next time, you guys have a good night.